Globalize Yourself Stereo. We're back at Red Bull Studios, Cape Town, having a chat with Mr. Culoe De Song. How you doing, bro?
Well, good, sir. How are you?
Very well, man. I think let's take it from the perspective of the Red Bull Academy, where you come from. I've actually got a very interesting question. I mean, like, you get access, if you're chosen, to this platform. You get introduced to a particular way, of working and a particular way of conducting yourself as an artist. What is the responsibility, you think, on the artist side? You get access to this thing, but there's a huge responsibility as the individual. How would you frame that?
I think the responsibility is to really sort of like document whatever it is you are doing or you are learning from the academy, because I think this is one place where you can get like a whole lot of valuable information that will contribute to the growth of your career and yourself as an artist. So I think your biggest responsibility is to document that for yourself and constantly learn it over and over again. I think nothing great was ever built with that study and constant learning. So if you can make it a point to yourself, whether you have a photographic memory or whether you have a cell phone or whether you write things down, if you get a platform, an opportunity to take part in a platform like this, document as much as you can and study it and just carry it and just take it in and move with it. Yeah.
Cool. And then there's also the aspect, once you've gone through these processes, you start working, you've released music, the traveling, man, like from a health perspective, from a nutritional perspective, you know what I mean? From a jet lag perspective, you have one body. How do you make sure as a touring artist, especially one with a hectic schedule, what is the science behind maintaining balance, maintaining peace, maintaining health, maintaining a sense of self? Because you're in time zones, you're always around. How do you manage that realistically?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it happened naturally because I'm just a natural introvert with a couple of extrovert attributes, I guess. So I think it's you mentioned a very important term there, and that is self. Like self-awareness and self-growth, self this, self that. Your body. How you take care of yourself, knowing when to drink lots of water, knowing when to take it easy on vices, and knowing when to get yourself onto bed and just rest, and knowing how to get yourself into a position where you just sit down and not do anything. So you gotta make time for all those things, to manage self, and it's one thing that is super important for this, because you need the energy to interact with people. You need the energy to play music for them. There's nothing as frustrating as being at a place and you just don't feel what you're doing, or simply because you're tired, or you just can't wait to start playing, or whatever the case may be. You must always enjoy it. So you must always want to give it your best shot. So I think it's just knowing when to have time for self, and just take care of your body and your mind and your soul.
So do you have a ritual? Do you have a touring season and then an off season? How do you manage your time, and your responsibilities? How do you balance between the two?
It's an interesting one, because summer here is winter in Europe, and right now it's summer in Europe, so I'm pretty much up and down. I'm trying to make things work. I think it's just a matter of getting to a level where you can pick out a couple of dates or a month, in a year, and say, this month I want to operate this side of the world, or it's home because I want to take care of more personal related things, or etc. You just gotta be able to be in a position where you have the liberation, to take part in such decisions, where you don't have to hustle for each and every single opportunity that's out there, and just putting your body towards complete distraction, so you gotta be able to pick one of those weeks or weekends, just in the calendar. You have to look in the calendar and be like, okay, here I'm playing in this city, this city has a beach, Instead of traveling back, I can might as well chill at the beach for the whole week until the next weekend, and have time for self. That's also like a bit of micromanaging yourself and your health. And it's basically it's as simple as that.
Okay, fresh, man. And then let's talk about the song music, because you've gone into the space now of running your own business, literally, you know what I mean, having come from the solistic family. So if you want to just take us through a slide, or just like a short description of that formative relationship with solistic and how it's transversed into your own business, and what have been your growing points? What has it taught you? Because it's all on you now, you know what I mean? You have to answer for things like accounting, legal, finance. It's on your head. So how have you managed that, going from one situation or one platform to your own?
Yeah, I think one of the blessings that I got, when I started the game, I was introduced to a system of business affairs, where we are educated about the music business and how to sort of like take it forward, from more than just it being you creating something and putting it out, but now creating something that's going to create numbers, and how do you handle those numbers? It's an education that I received very early on in my career. So you find that I already had the entity, the company registered even when I was signed, to another label, and I was sort of like running it in a way, whether it was financial, basically looking at Culoe De Song as a business, as a brand, So I got that education in the beginning, and I'd never stopped learning. Even now I'm still learning, and because now the responsibility branches out a little more when you're handling a lot of things under your own company, so it's a constant student situation. You have to consistently be a student, and just being willing to learn all these things, because you work in different countries, different laws and systems, etc., so it's all about educating yourself. If you are willing to educate yourself every day, you are probably in great position, to run an entity and make it work, because solidly it's all about asking yourself three things. What are you doing? What works? What doesn't work? Those are the three fundamental questions, that one has to ask themselves when they're running a business, and it's nothing complicated. Those three questions: what are you doing? What works? What doesn't work? If you can go in and every day in your company and ask yourself those three questions every day, trust me, you'll run it very well.
Dope. And then speaking of team and assistants, and how big is your team at the moment? Like this, what is the size? You know what I mean? Because people see you, they see you DJing, they see your music. There's a whole back end behind this. There's a whole army, so to speak. So how big is your army?
It's when you adding everybody, including our international counterparts. It's basically here at home. There's the song music. There's Lou, who runs my operations. His responsibility right now is a little more minimal than what it's gonna be when we grow and decide to do other things and sign people, etc. But then if you take his role, there's another person in New York who has the same role, but obviously for more international affairs.
So it's broken down territorially.
It's broken down territorially, exactly. So you find that in the same agency in New York, there's like there's like 3 or 4 more people, doing different things, handling promoters, reaching out to promoters, offering dates, and basically creating tours, and handling itineraries, sending out statements, like there's different people, and all these people, they are not in one town, they're in different parts of the world, like literally, but it's still like one entity, so it's a pretty interesting family of like 5 or 7 people, I think. Yeah.
Fresh. And going forward, especially now with like the success of Rambo, it's kind of reinvigorated your sound. It's like a nice, almost beatless but rhythm led. You know, it's so. Do you have more tracks in that vein? Do you have more stuff that you can offer, or what's your next move, like sonically? Like, what are you thinking now?
Yeah, there's a couple of tracks like that I did way before I did Rambo. I had a track like that called Bang Royales, of which I released via Watergate Records. I did a compilation with Watergate Records in Berlin, and I did a track called The Sacred Dance for my last album, Washa. It was also one of those, you know, with a lot of rhythm, but not your typical 1-4 beat, you know, and so it's something that I've been working on, and with Rambo, I suppose I just made it a little more interesting, you know, a little more fun and playful. You know, it does have that playful element to it, you know, so I suppose that's the only difference. And sonically, that's where I'm going, you know. I'm going towards creating music that literally comes from things that excited me as a person or as a kid, you know, movies, video games, you know, all those elements, you know, they add up to what I am and who I am, you know. So when I make music now, I always have that in mind, you know. It's something that I try to incorporate so much in my music, you know, and I find that you get products like Rambo, you know, when I do that, you know. It was when I listen to Rambo myself, I feel like I'm in a dance part at the same time. I mean, I'm in a video game, you know. So it does show that side of me, that video games were a big part of my life, you know. So yeah, that's basically it.
And the response, because Rambo's got a very South African. It's got a nice cult feeling here, but usually, you know, there's a different kind of taste or sensibility when you take it abroad. What has been the response between the two worlds, so to speak, Africa and like North America and Europe? Yeah. How has been the response to the song been?
Yeah, I think, you know, when it comes to locally, you know, the response is very much about the rhythm. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas in other places, it's more about the overall energy and the adrenaline element of the track, you know, because it does make you feel like there's a state of emergency, yes, kind of vibe going on, and in terms of like the elements, you know, they so like electrifying and yeah, it's very South African and electrifying. So you find that that's the reaction you get in other places, and then here people dance, you know, but there they go like crazy, like they go like spontaneous, you know what I mean. So but here you see more dance moves, over there you see some other interesting things, you know, just like the mood, you feel more the mood, you know, like you can feel that there's something happening, there's an adrenaline rush of some sort, you know, people are making some funky moves, you know, whereas here, you know, you'll see more traditional moves, you know. So yeah, I think that's a bit of a difference.
Are you planning to press it on vinyl? What are your plans for those kind of guys? You know what I mean? That level of archiving.
Yeah.
Even as the song music, are you guys planning any? I've got any vinyl plans in the works? Okay, cool.
Of course, man. Of course, we've had a couple of releases via other labels on vinyl, like Innovisions and actually yesterday I just received a really cool package. I did a remix for Margin Cole. She did a project with Valentine's and Boiler Room, and we just received a vinyl of that. And so we're very much so into the culture, you know. So a track like Rambo deserves such a thing, I think. Absolutely. You know, and obviously the right label, you know, to release it internationally, you know. So we're still working in talks, you know, in terms of that as well, how we're gonna release it to the rest of the world and how we're gonna get it to platforms like vinyl properly, you know.
So the song music is still in the syndication, so you're still gonna be working in terms of with other labels, like territorially getting stuff out. So yeah. So does the song service South Africa and Africa, and then you license out to the rest of the world? Like, how are you structuring your thing?
Well, look, the song music has it has the capacity to exploit, you know, the music anywhere in the world. But we've chosen to license, you know, certain songs to more established labels in a territory. Like for instance, nobody really knows who De Song is in Germany or whatever. So it makes sense to have a German label license from De Song Music, you know, a track or to help us, so to speak, you know, to assist in further distributing the product, that side, you know. So basically De Song Music, obviously, our main operation is here in South Africa, in terms of like the studio and in getting the craft done and produced, in terms of just also scouting for music, you know, for local music. As I said, I worked on a compilation in Germany, the Watergate 21. So what we did is De Song Music, you know, we came back home, we were like, guys, you know, please submit music, and went to different guys that make a particular sound that resonates with what I wanted to do on the compilation, you know. So De Song Music was responsible for that, for reaching out to different guys.
Okay, there's this Red Bull tour that you're doing throughout the country. Do you have any festival plans? Do you have any nights that you want to be doing approaching summer? Like, what are your like long-term performance, especially like your own independent plans apart from bookings and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, even during the couch session, we talked a little bit about performance, in terms of creating something a little more broad and theatrical, and those are like plans for the near future, you know, that we are working on, taking what we are doing now to more of an arena kind of setup, and having more visual elements to what I'm currently doing. And also one of my special projects in my heart is this all night long sets, the Guzu Beats night. You know, we did the first one in Johannesburg. It was really great, at N Club. You know, so I want to do that nationwide as well. You know, just picking the right venues and times, and you know, because playing an all night long set, you know, you gotta be prepared to do that mentally, and have people that are gonna be prepared to stay with you the whole night and just go with the vibes, you know. So we do have a lot of plans like that, you know. So I mean, obviously a lot of them, because I have a particular way I would like something of my own to be executed, you know. So obviously it requires a bit of time and research until the day we do it, you know. We do it the right way. Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much, man, for your time. Thank you for joining the Globalize Yourself Stereo family.
Yo, what's up, guys? This is Culoe De Song. You are tuned into Globalize Yourself Stereo. Keep it real. Peace.
Perfect. Thanks so much.